Hi, my name is Justin Holzenbeck. I am 28 years old and I have lost 125 pounds. Back whenever I decided to start this journey back in September of last year, it was nice that I found CrossFit early on because it combined two of my favorite things about sports was the weightlifting, getting stronger, always making progression on being able to lift heavier things, and then also the cardiovascular stuff.
I first met Justin in September of 2016. I was coaching at CrossFit Addiction in Kennesaw, and he came in determined, and he had his goals. He wanted to lose weight and he just wanted a better quality of life. But it was cool to see that he was so ecstatic about starting this new journey in his life.
So I grew up with a single mom. Whenever I was born, my dad kind of left the family. So she raised me along with my grandmother and my aunt. I remember very early on, we would go out to lunch after church on Sundays. And my grandmother, after the meal, I would put my fork down and be like, "Nana, I'm full." And she would lean over and poke my stomach and say, "You still have more room for more in there, can you finish your food?" And that always I think that's what started the whole, you have to clean your plate no matter how giant the plate is, and you always have room for more food. My mom's always had me playing a sport. It's been football. If we were in the off season of football, it's been baseball, it's been tennis, it's been wrestling. So whenever I was playing sports, or especially during sports seasons, so we would go out and hit Golden Corral and Ryan's and stuff like that and wipe the place out. But then I got hurt and I ended up doing like marching band and debate, but I kept eating like a defensive end in high school football, doing 2-a-day practices, and that's whenever things got pretty out of control. 16-year-old me was not working out, was not doing 2-a-day football practices anymore, but probably eating like 3,000 to 4,000 calories a day. Once I got into college, so I would go out to eat with friends or something like that, and I would eat, a small meal, which was still over 1,000 calories probably. Then on the way home, I would stop at a fast food place and get a secret meal that no one knew about. In my mind, I was still hungry, and just spike out another 2,000 calories in my car on the way home so no one knew about it. And then I had a family emergency. My grandmother, whenever I was about 21 or 22 years old, was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer and dementia. The family needed help. I ended up withdrawing, not immediately, I just stopped going to class. I was out on my own, had a lot of independence, was going out there and getting meals and stuff like that. You also add on all those outside factors that were putting me under a lot of stress, and at about 22, 23, if I had to guess, I entered college at about 220 pounds. By the time I had withdrawn from classes officially, I was probably hitting about 280, and then over the next couple of few years, I got above 300. It was 2016, January of 2016. I and my wife at the time decided that we really wanted to get involved in politics. Started working on that, started talking to people, and in February decided to officially run for office. Part of running for office is a very, very crazy schedule. You don't have time to cook, and even if I did have time to cook, it wasn't like I was going to cook something healthy, so it was a lot of fast food. So we hit the beginning of July, and it was time to go out there and start knocking on doors and talking to voters and winning their vote, and a lot of that involves going door to door, canvassing. July in Georgia gets hot, so it was 95 plus degrees outside. I was over 300 pounds, and so I would be out in a neighborhood, someone's house would be on the top of a really steep hill. They would be on my sheet to go up there and knock on their door and try to win their vote. I would skip their house because I was being lazy, but I also didn't, in my head I would think, I don't want to be standing in front of them panting and dripping sweat and unable to have a conversation with them. So that was the time that I saw that I really needed to make a change, was whenever I caught myself making those decisions at people's houses. So we moved into August, and my now ex-wife asked me for a divorce actually towards the end of the month. We made that decision to move forward on that. Because of that, I had to withdraw from the race. So in the course of like 2 weeks, I lost my marriage, I lost my candidacy for office, my job was kind of stuck in a rut, so I was kind of just stuck. I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, I gotta do something. I actually drove to a Walmart and bought a box of shotgun shells. I had a 12-gauge shotgun at home that I would go out with friends on the weekends. Sometimes we would go skeet shooting, but that's not what those shells were for. So I got to the end of that week, I had a conversation with my mom, and she kind of said, like, don't do something you can't take back. I hit Saturday and I just, on a whim, Googled CrossFit. Found a gym that was literally like a mile away from my apartment. So I just went, and I died. It killed me, but I loved it. Like, I got to the end of that, I was a big sweaty mess. Yeah, whew, compared to where I was in high school, it was a wake-up call that I had let myself get that far out of shape. So started 2 days a week, then 3 days a week, then 4, then 5. Nowadays I'm training 6 days a week, 3-4 hours a day, and I've fallen in love with it.
Oh, Justin's transformation has been phenomenal. To see my son go from being, I would call, almost morbidly obese to being happy to get up, active, and just getting involved in the community, getting involved in sports, or at least physical fitness, and to watch his diet and doing the exercise, that's like a godsend. I was concerned for a while. I'm very pleased. I've watched his transformation going from one thing to the next, and I'm watching him fit into these clothes and get excited about getting clothes and getting excited about a lot of things that he kind of put on the back burner for a while. It's a nice change.
He changed very quickly. It was like one day I coached, and then I was like, oh, he can't squat below parallel. He is, pushing 300. And then it was like the next week, he had dropped 50 pounds. He was a whole new person. He was squatting below parallel. He was stronger than ever. And it was amazing to see his transformation.
Whenever I first started, I couldn't do an air squat, and just recently, about a couple of weeks ago, I was able to back squat 285 pounds. I am able to do pull-ups, and it took me a long time to do my first pull-up. I ran the first 5K of my life back in January. It was slow. It was a slow 5K, and I had to walk parts of it. But then I just did a 10K this last about 3 weeks ago, and I ran it in almost less than 50 minutes. And now it's giving me the opportunity to go out there and share my story, maybe help someone else do what I did.